Well, and it's the world's messiest garage. There's a 2015 Fiat 500 Sport, I think. I never really looked. There's a Detroit axle rack and pinion, because this thing has the clunk, which it's always had, but something has gone wrong in the steering on this. And every time I check it, it's fine. The passenger side, but I found on the driver's side, if you put force to it on the tire while it's in the air, you can hear a clang, clang, clang inside the rack and pinion up in here. So, since I can't find one YouTube video and not one instruction piece on how to do this, we're going to make a video on how to do this. So, boy, there's not a lot of room. After looking at it last night, the new shaft only goes up through the floorboard 2 3/4 inch, which means we got to drop that down 2 3/4. And as you can tell, it ain't coming down without this K-frame dropping. So I'm going to loosen these for the bumper beam up front, because there is enough room to get about a 1/2 inch play on those bolts and nuts, and then 1 and 2 bolts for the rack and pinion, maybe 6 back here going to the chassis. So we're going to drop this exhaust. It's been soaking overnight, got a little heated up, try to get those bolts off, studs. Hopefully we can drop this exhaust and then drop this K-frame enough to get us that 2.5 inch clearance to drop this. But first things first, we got to disconnect the shaft in the cab, and then we've got to disconnect these outer tie rods up here and make sure we try to mark where they were. It's tight. So after getting this 13mm spline bolt out and taking the rubber mat cover off, you can kind of see how much we're working with here. Not too much. And it did, when I was wrenching on it, you could hear a clunk and see it move back and forth a little bit, although now that it's off, it seems really solid. And as you can see, there's really not much sticking out, and we're talking from there up. So we got the outer tie rods off, and we got the sway bar links dropped. And looks like there's 7 1/8. We're going to have to get these other bolts out. And got these lubed. These are, or I'm hopefully going to be able to loosen up enough to hinge this down enough while still leaving everything attached. Should work. Should. Now, okay. New one's tossed up in there. I did not slide it out the passenger side. It came right down the middle. I did have to separate this exhaust. It did bust those 2 12 metric studs off. Well, the new one's up in there easy enough, so you can kind of see I've got the back partially supported on a jack stand. The rear end's not that heavy, and I just popped it down, moved it to the rear to where this would come down for us, and that was easy. No bumper, none of that BS coming off, so yeah. So again, in case you're confused, the K-frame went forward to come off these bumper rails and then down. Yeah. I'm gonna take lunch. Okay, so getting that K-frame up and over and back onto these hole alignments is probably the most difficult part. Luckily, Q showed up to give assist. Hang on, Q. There's the other bolt. Yeah, nice. And what I ended up having to do was get him to lift up on the rear, and I stuck a pry bar into here and pushed onto the back of the K-frame because it was not going by hand. Not an easy task. So now we'll get these 2 bolted up. And we'll get this transmission bolted back up. And one thing, every time you move this son of a gun, make dang sure that this steering rack is still free and not on a bind. Yeah, because it's, yeah. And so with the second hand, it really wasn't that bad. Got this connector bar in. No, nothing. These studs did heat up and knock out like I said they would. So got some washers, lock washers, got the transmission torque mount back on, got the exhaust back on. For these nuts being loose in the unibody, I was very carefully able to get them restarted, except that one, but the impact somehow took care of it for us, so that's great. And biggest lesson of this, you can have a good impact. So now it's time to go up and connect these upper pillars there on both sides and reattach the tie rod ends. And we're getting there. And sway bar links are on. Now it's time for tie rod ends. Yeah. And the tie rods are back on in place. Time for alignment. Where'd it go? Two common things to have with this. Have yourself a ball joint, wishbone deal. Have a kit to help run screws, run parts, and the wipe all the tools down afterwards. Yeah. So that's the end of it. Didn't count the threads right on this tire, so it was way out of whack. Wouldn't even drive to the alignment shop, I bet. But she's done. So total hours, I got on this at 9:30 to 11:30, and then Q here, my side man. We've been running this. What time is it now, Q?
Maybe about 2 o'clock. So
about 2 o'clock, and we got back on it maybe around what 12ish. So not too bad. 4 hours. Yeah. She lives again. Yeah. Interesting about the Detroit axle version, by the way. The stamping number from the OEM matches, so I'm pretty sure Detroit axle is reman and not new in every way, shape, and form. Plus, if you send this one back in the pre-page box back there, you get a lifetime warranty with it, which tells me it's a reman, which is false advertisement. Yeah.